Hey everybody, and this is Hawk Dad speaking. So I wanted to make a quick little video here talking about Dungeons and Dragons, a wonderful tabletop role-playing game. And so I wanted to make this video in light of a recent event in my personal life when dealing with a nephew who's been playing Dungeons and Dragons roughly for about a year with other high school friends. And so I wanted to make this video specifically targeted for young men and women in their high school age or junior high age, specifically for them, in 3 tips when starting a game, whether you're with your friends around the same age, whether you're playing or running a game. My top 3 tips that are going to help you not only just have fun, but 3 tips that are going to help you get better at the game and help you graduate from freshman to about a junior level player. So like you could walk into a social situation, at your local gaming store and sit down with late 20-year-olds, 30, 40, 50-year-olds, sit down at a table with them and actually be able to hold your own. All right. The first tip is self-control. This is a big one. These are going to be 3 big tips, right? Self-control. A lot of young teenagers, especially young boys, a lot of you are going to be full of piss and vinegar, and you're going to be very energetic and rambunctious. To your older players, those who are in their late 20s, well, actually any player in their 20s and their 30s and their 40s and their 50s, they're not there to babysit you. They're there to play a game. They do not want to have to hold your hand. They don't want to have to discipline you. They don't want to be your parent. They want you to settle down and conduct yourself at the table. It's fine to have fun. It's fine to make a joke every now and then. But you need to have self-control. You can't be getting loud out of the blue and just getting squirrely. And the other thing too, and this even carries over into your own character. If you have a fun idea and if you think it's going to take more than 10 minutes for you to do this, don't do it. If it's something that you can do real quick, that you think it can, it's something kind of funny, or it's something, off the wall, but it's just something real quick, do it. If it's something convoluted that's going to require you to make, to 10 minutes of background checking, rules checking, blah, 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 don't do it. Don't do it because it's too much time wasted on a situation that the DM may just go, yeah, you know what, never mind, I don't want to do it, right? Because now you're killing the fun. You're killing the atmosphere for everyone else, and they want to have fun too. Next rule, next tip, pro tip. Do not be the edgelord. I know that a lot of you teenagers are going through some things in your life. Maybe mom and dad suck and rules suck, and you're making that transition from child to adult. You need to start taking more responsibility, all right? But you don't have to be the edgy, emo death lord all the time. You don't have to constantly play the monsters, all right? You don't have to play Dro. You don't have to be a lich. You don't have to be a vampire. You don't have to be these things, all right? Like, you don't need to be a necromancer. All right, just chill out. Especially if you're playing in a campaign that's supposed to be good. Like my nephew was talking about, he's playing a lich in his church group, right? He goes to church on Sunday, hangs out with a bunch of other boys. After church, they play Dungeons and Dragons inside the church, and he's running around as a lich. And I'm like, do Do you not understand what you just sat through on Sunday morning? Did none of that sink in? Why are you trying to exemplify an evil character? I don't know, at 5.0, they're kind of like, alignments don't really mean too much. But, yeah, you don't need to be that. You don't have to do that. Another thing, too. Okay, so I guess you can say that it coincides with this. Or maybe it's even the next one. Yeah, you know what? We'll go with that. We'll just say the next step over, right? Master what's in the core books. Master, if you're a player, master the handbook, races, and classes. If you're a DM, master the DM's guide. Don't go diving into other books. Just get a handle on what's on the 3 immediate SRDs: the handbook, the DM's guide, and the monster manual. Make sure that you do your research. Watch videos. There's plenty of videos out there. Watch this one. Watch this video for this tip. But there are plenty of other guys out there. Dawnforge Cast in particular. He's really great. Davy Chappie, a guy that I just recently got turned on to. Real funny guy. He's he's really funny. Really, really funny. And I think young kids and teenagers, they'd probably click with him really, really well. Get your laughs, but get like a grasp. That's the big thing, is that a lot of the things that he talks about, it's so you can grasp the concepts. And let Dawnforge Cast, Dawnforge Cast? Yeah, I think that's his name. Let him explain, or Black Belt Gaming. Let them really explain the in-depth stuff. Because the most important thing about it, especially if you're a new GM in particular, like let's say you're a new dungeon master, you in particular, so I guess you could say this is the step number 4, but this is more of a direct instead of generalized. Know the tone of your game. Really, and make sure that you put your foot down on the tone of your game. If you want to do a silly little game, then that's fine. Do a silly game. Allow everybody to be funny and be jokey. If you're a player hearing this, then it's fine. You can accept those rules. Like I had a jokey, silly game where our DM gave us a dildo that could change its shape into any kind of key inside this one particular dungeon. And it fit perfectly into whatever it went into. It's a stupid, silly little thing, and just, and it's all just for jokes. But if you do stuff like that, you really cannot, 180 it into something serious where everyone's going to die and you're walking into a Holocaust. It doesn't really work that well. So you want to make sure that you stay consistent, harking back to the self-control. Even as a GM, you need self-control. You have to self-control. If you want, don't be silly with your players, because if you get silly, then they're going to get silly, and the things get out of hand and derail very quickly. Being young, you're going to derail things. It's going to happen. I mean, even adults can seem to derail things, but don't get me wrong. You shouldn't be playing on a real game anyway, because real games aren't that fun. And when people get too silly, silly Billy, things lose interest. People lose interest really quickly as well. So those are some of my tips. I thought I was gonna say something else, but I'll make another video. I'll make a quick other video on that one. And I'll post that one up real quick too. So those are my quick tips. in the situation. And you know what? Here, let me give you a story. Let me give an example. Let me talk about this, because this is my transition, and these are the reason why these 3 tips are very important. Okay, I started playing when I was 14. I'm in my 30s now, so I've been playing for about 15 years, probably a little more, going on 20 years now. So when I first started playing, I was playing the very first character I ever played was an ogre cleric. And so I got into that trend. I got into the trend of playing monsters right away because I was playing with a bunch of other high schoolers. The very next character the very first character I ever created was a Minotaur Paladin. And so I kept the monster trend alive. And then I would just play. I always wanted to play something that wasn't human. And I kept getting into more and more games where everybody was like, I want to be a half dragon, half vampire, half ooze lich. And another friend was like, I want to be a werewolf monk. And another person's like, I want to be, a dragon. I don't know, dragon with 2 heads and necrotic touch and blah, blah, blah. It was just, eventually things got out of hand. Like, we'd get around, we'd sit down at a table, we'd sit there and laugh, joke, play for, I don't know, hour and a half, realize that all our characters were crazy broken, that whoever was running the game didn't anticipate crit levels very well, and so everybody just walked in, slaughtered everything, and it just wasn't all that fun. We were just throwing dice at a table, not really fully understanding what it was we were doing or the characters we created. So after a while, probably by the time I was 18, so I'd already been playing for about 4 years at that time, that's when I started putting a little bit more limitations on myself. Where I was like, you know what, I'm just going to play the races in the book. I'm just going to play the classes in the book. I'm not going to go anything crazy. And I actually started to have more fun because all my other friends, now some of my other friends, they would do the monster stuff too. Like we would always have a monster on the team. And whenever I would run a game, I would restrict my friends to, hey, just pick these races here. And a lot of people were really, really resistant to me at first. And, but the thing is, the reason why I was successful in that endeavor was the fact that the friends who were like, okay, I'll do what you say. I want to play the game. We were able to get in. Everybody, I knew where everybody was. I didn't have to factor in somebody who's technically a challenge rating of 4 while everyone else is like 1. Everybody was challenge rating 1. So I knew where everybody was at. So it was easier to design missions for them and battles for them. And we would actually successfully have 3, 4, 10. We've had up to, I think, 10 sessions, I think was the highest I had. At the time, I had about 10 sessions, which is perfect. That's perfect. That's a great amount. And my friends had seen that. They saw that, like, every time I would do that, every time I would, I would put on that restriction onto everybody, we would have more sessions because we could get more done. I was able to do more as a DM because we weren't doing anything crazy. We didn't do anything outlandish. We didn't do anything we had some edgelord people. Now, I did have a modern game get derailed because I had a friend who wanted to be an edgelord, run off on his own and do stuff while everyone else was fighting a bugbear on a city bus. He jumped out a window and decided he was going to go adventure somewhere else while everybody else was trying to fight this thing. So I've had that happen. But the only reason he did that because he wanted to play Dungeons & Dragons, not D20 Modern. He wanted to derail my game for that purpose alone. So it was a while before I ever wanted to play with him again. And, which is the other reason why, too, hark back to that, edgelords, don't do it because all you're going to do is annoy the hell out of all your other friends. You're going to frustrate them, you're going to frustrate the game, you're going to frustrate the DM, and you're not going to get invited back. That's one of the main reasons why you don't want to be an edgelord. Don't be the loner, who has to run off and do everything on your own. You'll just end up pissing people off because you're going to want all this limelight for your character, and chances are, if you're really young and you haven't been playing for that long, you're not that good to do that. You're not good enough to handle the limelight on your own. You're just not. It doesn't matter how good you think you are. Take my word for it. You're not that good. You are not that good. So don't do it. The game is supposed to be about camaraderie. Anyway, you should be working with your friends, not by yourself. If you do that, you might as well just go play a video game. Don't waste everybody else's time doing that. Okay. And so as time went on, those things became more and more successful. So the rest of my friends end up eventually adopting the same policy and started taking it upon themselves. And as we all got better, we did eventually start breaking out to newer things, and we had developed a foundation, a strong foundation underneath our role playing style, and so with that, you eventually learn how to develop better characters. How you can play as a rogue, and how you can play as, or you could play, you could play 7 elves back to back to back, and all 7 are different different characters, and actually genuinely feel like different characters, and that's the important part. And so that's my tip, right? Those are my tips. That's my experience when it comes to D&D when you're really, really young. So I hope that this story helped you. I hope these tips are going to help you when you. Sorry, it's getting cold out here, and the cold's starting to get to my throat here. But so I hope this all helped you out. I hope that you've taken some stuff from this and you've learned some things. And it'll allow you to approach your characters a little bit better. And approach your game a little bit better. Give you a different kind of mindset. And with that, everybody, I'm going to say good night. Hey, everybody, and this is Hawkdad speaking. So I wanted to make a quick little video here talking about Dungeons & Dragons, a wonderful tabletop role-playing game. And so I wanted to make this video and in light of a recent event in my personal life, when dealing with a nephew who's been playing Dungeons & Dragons roughly for about a year with other high school friends. And so I wanted to make this video specifically targeted for young men and women in their high school age or junior high age, specifically for them, in 3 tips when starting a game, whether you're with your friends around the same age, whether you're playing or running a game. My top 3 tips that are going to help you not only just have fun, but 3 tips that are going to help you get better at the game and help you graduate from freshman to about a junior level player. So, like, you could walk into a social situation, at your local gaming store and sit down with